A wise man once said, life is a roller coaster, just got to ride it. From the lows of Saturday's defeat to Edinburgh City to the high of the midweek win over Alloa, it's been another eventful week as a Stranraer fan. Joining me tonight on Look Blues Talking, we've got Stranraer's, nay, Wigtonshire's number one boy band. It is Brian Martin, George Frank, and Gary Redhead. How are we all doing tonight, gentlemen?
I'm definitely a good looking one. Just putting it straight away, right off the bat.
Yeah, you can have that.
Fine balance, mate.
We'll get Saturday out of the way with first of all. Disappointing, lackluster, poor. Any other words you would like to use to describe it, Brian?
Positive, very positive. I turned round, or should I say, Jim Hughes, ex-Stranraer hero, was sitting next to me, and he said at half time, Brian, he says, that's the worst 45 minutes I've ever watched of football. And so that just sums it up for me. What a first half that was. Awful.
I'm guessing he didn't turn to you after 90 minutes and say that was the best second 45 minutes he'd watched in football.
No, it didn't improve. I think it improved a wee bit, not a lot, but it was awful.
For yourself, Gary, what was the most disappointing aspect?
Uh, I don't even know where to start with that one. It's just so underwhelming. I don't think. I know James Dolan got man of the match, but it was hard. It must have been hard for Hospitality to even pick one player. It was just so flat. Your first home league game of the season, you're expecting to come out all guns blazing, especially after the kind of poor performance week before as well in for you're hopeful, right, we can get things started today against a team who are a bit short as well, numbers, but yeah, just never got going from the first whistle into the last, unfortunately.
Gary mentioned it there, George, in terms of obviously we were coming into the game on the back of the defeat at Forfar. I think management, fans, everybody looking for a reaction, never really looked like materialising.
No, I don't think it did. I'd use the analogy two bald men fighting over a comb for Saturday's game. It just it wasn't pretty. It wasn't fun to edit. It wasn't. You saw a lot of unhappy faces leaving Stair Park on Saturday, and that's not how you want to start the season at home. And I just think we never, like the guys have said, we never got going. We never really created much. Got the penalty, but beyond that, there wasn't much going on.
I think as well, Brian, in terms of you always hear how you want to kind of start on the front foot. Do you think it's difficult that if you don't kind of get going from the get go to then kind of go up through the gears, even after half time, and you would think that the manager, coaching staff speak to the players, and there was never a kind of period where it was like, all right, we're kind of up in the ante a wee bit here.
Couldn't agree more, Cameron. You know what I mean? I think some players think they can just, start at a low base and go right through the gears, but it doesn't happen. And I said earlier on, we were so passive. I think we thought at one time they were Real Madrid. You know what I mean? We just sat off them. We didn't do anything. And we did go in the counter attack. I think James Dolan had a mazy round in the left hand side. At one time in the first half. But apart from that, I mean, I can't remember, us going forward at all. I mean, it just seemed to be, I don't know what was wrong. I mean, we as I say, I think we sat up them far too much, and I think if we'd have went at them, from the beginning, I think we might have got a result. But we're just so passive. I couldn't believe it at times.
One thing I would probably say in Edinburgh City's defence is the fact that they've got that kind of genuine work ethic. It looks like everybody totally 100% buys into what Michael McIndoe's trying to do. They're chasing, harrying from minute one. We've spoken before at the start of the season about the camaraderie in the Stranraer dressing room, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't run through a wall for Chris and the management team, but there wasn't really that kind of evidence on display on Saturday, Gary.
No, you're probably right. Something we kind of touched on last night in commentary as well. When we've got 13, 14 new players, I think you look through the Edinburgh City lineup on Saturday, most of them had been there last year, and it was a small squad. So, I mean, when you've got a full season behind you already as a team, working for the same manager as well, you're going to be a lot more cohesive than a team that's got 13, 14 new players in the door. I think, to be fair, Chris himself even touched on it. I think he feels he probably set up wrong, got a couple of things wrong, and tactically as well on Saturday, which, I mean, he held his hands up and admitted that as well. I think all kind of contributed just to a flat opening day at home anyway in the league.
I don't know if pleasing is the right word, George, but I guess it's nice to hear a manager come out and say that I got this wrong or we were poor today, rather than kind of trying to hide behind any kind of excuses, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's what you want to hear as a supporter. You want them to hold their hands up when things don't go right. Also think if you're going to get things wrong, now's the part of the season to do that. We've seen in previous years where we've started with a different shape and changed it early on and then had great success. So as Gary mentioned through the week, hopefully we'll be repeating some of that in this season. We'll see.
I think for me, one of the most frustrating things was the fact, obviously, we were playing an Edinburgh side who were likely hurting. They'd been docked 15 points during the week, and instead of kind of inflicting any further pain on them, I guess, didn't really lay a glove on them. If anything, we gave them a wee cuddle, patted them on the head, and sent them back up the road with 3 points. Is that fair, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to admit, I don't think they're as good as what they were last season against us. I think that I thought there was something missing for them. And as I was saying, their defence, I think, is right shaky. And if you get about them, I think that they might crumble. But I was saying to you earlier on, Cameron, for 9 minutes to 75, there wasn't a shot on target apart from the penalty. So they weren't fantastic. And I think Josh will hold his hands up for their first goal. He's either got to punch it away or catch it. He's done nothing. The boys it's actually hit the boy and went into the net. The second goal I thought was quite a good goal. Maybe a bit of closing down with it would have been better with the Stranraer defence. Danny just headed out to him, right to him. But I mean, I was looking at the notes, and on 78 of O'Donnell, I think if he's fit and firing, he scores, and it's a different outcome. But he dillied and dallied in the penalty box, and he missed a chance. And of course, they went up the park and scored. But all in all, I mean, I think it was a bad 3 points to give away.
I mean, Brian says there, Gary, about it being a bad 3 points to give away. I suppose equally for Edinburgh, the fact that they had Jack Duncan, I think wearing number 5 up front, Daramola missing, various other people missing. Given what had happened during the week, I imagine that's a brilliant 3 points for them.
Yep, and it turned out maybe for us possibly the worst time to play them. We found out last year at Bonnyrigg were the same. They came down here, our first game after a 6 point reduction. We were their first game at Stair Park, and they beat us the last kind of minute. Sort of the same fate again on Saturday. Brian touched on it. I think even Edinburgh City supporters will admit that it was two poor teams on the day. Neither team really laid much of a glove, but I don't think Edinburgh City will be caring too much. Me saying that right now because they went back up the road with 3 points.
You mentioned the Bonnyrigg game there, Gary. Is it as simple as the team that has that little bit more hunger, that little bit more to play for, I guess?
I think when it's as flat as what it was, I think like small things like that can make a difference. I think maybe we've seen that on Saturday. It's maybe a case as well that momentum's, we didn't make the most of our momentum. We go and score and go one up. We don't make the most and go and add another and kill the game off. We let them get back into it. It's a bit of a sloppy walk away for the first, and then they put their backs up once they score that. It was saying the momentum was on their side, and obviously it was a good finish in Barrett.
So I'll open this up to the three of you, so feel free to jump in. What positives can we take from Saturday?
It's over.
We've already forgot about it.
Not many, I would say.
Go on, Brian, you're the optimist.
I think O'Donnell, showed some nice touches. He's getting a bit of slagging on Facebook, which I'll maybe come to later on. I thought was way over the top, the criticism. I know everyone's entitled to their opinion, but we're only two games in, and the criticism. I mean, I think we've talked about this in a previous podcast. I don't think they used to print tables until about 5 games in. I think it's only since Sky came on the scene and print tables after a game. We didn't seem to be interested in tables. Now it seems to be game after game, and it's 2 games, 34 to go. Everybody calm down. I mean, I think last night showed maybe a couple of tweaks here and there, and he's got a good pool of players there. I mean, I was disappointed Saturday, but it's only 2 games. You know, I mean, some of the comments on Facebook I thought were ridiculous.
I'll jump in there just when you're talking about O'Donnell as well. I thought some of the stick he was getting in the stand was a bit unfair. I mean, the boy had one training session with us on the Thursday night, and then he starts on the Saturday. And I don't think he could do much more than what he did. I don't think. I think tactically, like Chris admitted, he got it a bit wrong. I think he was so isolated up top, and the game was that stretch, especially in the second half. He couldn't really do much more than what he was doing. I think he was sort of getting the blame, but I mean, he was doing what he could. And like you said, a few nice touches in that, and then we'll come to it later on in the podcast. But I mean, last night I thought he had a really good game, as did just about everybody else. So it's amazing the difference that 3 days can make, Brian.
What about yourself, George? Any positives that we can take from Saturday?
I think we've pretty much covered all of them so far. Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing that there was such strong feeling after the defeat, because I think it hopefully shows where we are as a club, that there is more, people are more emotionally invested in the results, and they're on, like you said, that roller coaster there with the ups and the downs. You don't want people going away and thinking, oh, well, we got beat, never mind. I'll just go up the road. People are taking it home with them. And, whilst that's not great on, individually, it shows that people care about the club. And hopefully it's just going to be more ups and downs coming up. And we can have a good season.
I think that the negativity and the criticism was so strong because of the back of the 2 league games, because the cup games were so good. The performances were such a good standard that I think supporters straight away were like, hang on a minute here, we've seen, based off the 4 games we've watched, this team's a lot better than what they've put out in the opening 2 games. So I think that's why the emotion was so strong. And like George said, it's all maybe came at a good time for us 2 league games of the season. There was a strong reaction after Saturday. And it's made the manager go away and think about things, and then he's made a couple of changes. He's always had a word with the players, and they've came out last night and put in such a good performance. So maybe it wasn't the worst thing in the world that happened so early in the season.
I think you mentioned it, George, that I would much rather that we have a slow start and then we 34 games to go, we kick on, than we're in a good position with 34 games played and then turn into bad performances and miss out on what the objectives are come the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's it, and we've probably seen that as well, where we've kind of slipped at the final hurdle. That happens too, but it's very early days, as Brian says. The league table's not nothing's won in August, so we've got a long way to go. Positive signs from the cup game that we'll come to as well.
Obviously, plenty's been said about Saturday, both folk in the pub and folk on social media. We've spent best part of 10-15 minutes talking about it. Would you agree, Gary? Folk getting a little bit carried away. There are still 34 games to go. Obviously, people more than entitled to their opinions and quite right to be unhappy with Saturday, but still plenty of time.
That obviously, absolutely. Like I said, I like to think it's just because standards were set in the cup games. We're playing against good teams: Ross County, Partick Thistle, Edinburgh City, obviously mentioned, and Queen of the South. So the performances were such a high standard. I think that's what kind of brought out such a strong reaction based on the first 2 games. But we need to remember it's the first 2 games. You've lost out in 6 points. You've another 34 games to play. So I get the frustrations, but I think some of the actions will be slightly over the top.
Obviously, managers, coaches will scrutinise and analyse every goal that's conceded, but do you think we could have done better for for both goals, George?
Yeah, I think so. I think Josh obviously flaps it a little bit. He said he'll hold his hands up. He probably could have held his hands up a little bit further and reached it. And the second one's just a lovely bit of skill for me. I think maybe the headed clearance, you could point a finger, but it's been maybe being a bit harsh. I think it's good take, lovely finish, and just one of these things. And sometimes a bit of skill is the difference, and we couldn't produce that on the day.
It was one of those that, and maybe I'm doing Bradley Barrett a complete disservice here, so I'll hold my hands up if that's the case. But as soon as it left his foot, it was going in. And equally, another 9 times out of 10, it might have gone out for a throw-in. Probably fair.
Aye,
Yeah.
you would say so. Yeah, I think the biggest frustration with the strike itself is the fact that we allowed Edinburgh City to get back into the game and give them the chance to go ahead in the game when we go 1-0 up. We're at home. What was it, maybe 50 minutes to go? I can't remember off the top of my head, but at that point at home with that to go, you really want to see the game out, don't you? You don't want to concede an equaliser, never mind go and concede 2 and lose the game.
I think that was probably an Achilles heel of us, certainly under past management. I can think of the Spartans one's probably one that's going to haunt me for a wee while in terms of Ayrton Sonker scoring twice in stoppage time. That I guess it's the age old, if you can't win the game, make sure you don't lose it, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we would all been in a better mood if we'd have got a point. I know it sounds strange, but it would have held on for the point. I mean, that was fine, and I think that's what Chris would have wanted. I mean, if we don't win the game, don't lose the game. But we did, and I mean, as George says, it was a lovely strike. Where we were sitting, you could absolutely see it going in, and I think Lawrence would probably call it before it hit the net because it was a lovely strike. I think it was probably one of his first touches. He hadn't been in the field very long. And it was a lovely goal, but very disappointing from the Stranraer point of view.
For those unaware, tell us all about what I saw christened Pitchgate and kind of what's happening since then as well.
Yeah, so I think it's just a bit of frustration and maybe just a bit of lack of communication. I think, I mean, Colin the groundsman's working absolutely hard as he can Monday to Friday to get the pitch ready for the Saturday. But he's working with limited resources, just what we can give him. So he's probably not got it the way he would like it either. But for what he's got to work with, I think he gets it in a very good condition. I think we just saw a very frustrated manager on Saturday, venting his frustrations. And I think what he's came out with is maybe slightly stretched and let's say taken out of context, but I don't think he's meant it to come across the way he's meant to come across. I think he touched on it last night in his interview. He knows how hard Colin's working. There's a new mower coming, I think 28th was what I heard, so that allowed Colin to get the pitch in even better condition than what it is now. But I think just a whole lot of frustration and a mix-up in communication. But I think hopefully after last night, Christian's interview came out, it's going to put it a little bit to bed now, and we can all move on from it.
Colin must get his steps in if he's pushing a mower up and down the pitch.
It's a
You're
sit
not
on.
far off.
It's a sit on, but it's not a very big. Not a very
quite
big
as
sit
bad.
on. No, my garden's maybe about 1/25th. Not even that big actually. The pitch is still apart, and my sit on one might actually be bigger than what Colin's got. So I mean, the guy does an incredible job. He does, and he's doing what he can. To be fair to him, but I think it was just a bit of frustration on everybody's part on Saturday. Things kind of escalated a little bit, but the manager came out last night. He was keen to put wrong to right to wrong, whatever way it is. Anyway, he was keen to correct himself anyway. So he was getting everybody back on the same page.
Yeah.
Of course, also on Saturday we spoke to new signing Corey O'Donnell. Let's hear from him now.
First things first, Corey, welcome to the club.
Thank you, cheers.
How did the move come about?
It came about quite quickly, to be honest. Just Tuesday night, got told Stranraer had a bid in, and I went and spoke to the gaffer shortly after, and then I liked what he had to say, so right on board, yeah.
You say about it happening quite quickly. I think the Stranraer fans would say that as well.
Quite quickly,
obviously looking for a striker, but it seemed to come out of nowhere on Thursday night.
Yeah, I think it was a shock to me as well, you know what I mean, but glad to be here, yeah.
So in terms of moving to the club, what did Chris say to you to try to sell it to you?
You know, he drew me in, and then obviously I think it's a big thing that I need to play this year, and I think by what he was saying, he was needing a striker, and I think I'll play a lot of games, and then I know what he said what the team was looking to do this year, and I liked the sound of it, so of course I wanted to be a part of it, and then yeah.
So Thursday night, was it a case of kind of handshakes, introducing yourself to everyone, and then down to business?
Breaking in, yeah, just getting to know everybody. Still need to get to know them, but good start. But
I was going to say, does that take a wee bit of time in terms of getting to know everyone? And
of course, but the boys are good. You know, I know a couple of them anyway, so it's friendly faces, so it's not too hard to get to know them. You know what I mean?
In terms of the game today, difficult for yourself? First of all, I didn't think you had a great deal of service. It's difficult to kind of stamp your mark on it. Yeah,
of course. It difficult first half. We had the wind against us, but we should still do better. It was a tough game, tough first half for both teams. You know what I mean? I think they dominated the first half, but we came out the second half, had the wind with us, and just tried to go again. We go 1-0 up, and we should maybe hold that, but I should score as well. Put us 2-1 up. Unfortunately, don't, and they got the other end and scored. You know.
I guess the good thing is that the disappointment of today, you don't have to wait long to hopefully kind of right it Tuesday night.
Yeah, Tuesday night, straight into it. It's the Trust Trophy on Tuesday against Alloa, so just get this hopefully out our heads and straight onto that and back to business.
For you personally, would you prefer another training session, getting to know the boys, or are you more than happy to just get playing games?
Just get into the games. I think that suits me better anyway, yeah.
We'll come back to Corey in a bit, but we're recording this on Wednesday night, about 24 hours on from the victory over Alloa. Gary, George, you were both there. I've watched a bit of it back, we've watched the highlights. George, first of all, what a difference a few days makes.
Lovely, wasn't it? Yeah, it's. I think we've obviously changed the system, changed some of the personnel, and it worked. And I think it's maybe just a change of attitude as well. I think we really went for it last night. We saw the best of Sal out wide. His pace was electric at times, and just positives all over the pitch against a very good League One team who, albeit they changed some of their lineup, they're still a very good team, and there's a lot of experience there. So loads of positives to take, I think.
What were the main differences, Gary? As I say, you were obviously there on commentary alongside Alan Jenkins.
I'll upset a few people from Facebook now. I've seen a lot of comments. I need to correct that. People are saying what a difference it makes with two up top. At no point last night was it a 4-4-2. So sorry about that straight away. But it was, I think, just a couple of subtle tweaks. A few more attack-minded players on the part, and I think we're set up really well. I think like I said, a couple of tweaks. It wasn't major differences because he's not had a chance to get them back in training or anything like that. We went straight from the game and started the game on Tuesday night, but I think they probably got a rock up the backsides after the game on Saturday, and they were told under no circumstances will that sort of performance happen again. And he's brought in 5 that weren't playing on Saturday, and he's gave them a chance. And for what it's worth, Finney, Crapont, Danny McManus, Salu Turai, obviously all came into the starting lineup. Aaron Quigg as well, all came back in off the bench on Saturday, and absolutely excellent, all 4 of them. So was the whole team. I'm just picking out them 4 particularly because obviously they came straight from the bench back into the starting lineup. So it's gave him some food for thought going into Saturday as well. He's always been keen on impressing the fact that he's relying on the whole squad. It's not just 11, it's 18, 19, 20. And last night emphasised that, so it did.
Your managers say, Brian, that the best thing in football is that you don't have to wait too long for another game to come around. Do you think that's exactly it? Totally played into our hands in that respect?
Yeah, I think the victory was very important last night. You get another defeat, even a draw last night wouldn't have been great, I don't think. So you get a victory, and the team gets a wee bit of confidence up. You know you can win a game. You've got you over the line basically, so you can get on with confidence to Saturday, and I think it was vital. And it's a great start in that competition because, I think looking like about 9 points is going to make certain you're going to qualify, which is quite a lot of money, I think, I was reading. So, I mean, it's a great start in the competition. I think we've only got Kelty away from home, and then we've got 4 home games. So, as I say, a great start. And I agree with Gary, the changes seem to work. I really like Quigg in the middle of the park. I would play Quigg all day long. That's just my opinion. But I think he's great in the middle of the park. I'm not saying he made the difference, complete difference, but I really like him. And I think he changes the dynamic of the middle of the park. But fair play. I mean, he brought Sal on. Great to see Sal scoring. Absolutely great. By the way, I think he's been denied a double because on the replay, it definitely looks as though he's onside. The lino has went maybe a second too late. He's seen Sal, inside the 6-yard box, but we all see it when the ball is kicked. I think he's definitely onside. You can see the jersey of the Alloa player, behind him. So, but anyway, great result, and we kick on for there.
fair play to Sal, Gary, that he obviously had the goal chopped off. I think I'm right in saying, did he have one off the post as well? Or was it just wide? Either way. But you could see in the highlights that he was obviously disappointed that he hadn't scored at that point, but he still kind of had a smile on his face. Like, for another player, it could have been oh God, no, another one of these days. Fair play for him for sticking in there and obviously getting his goal.
No, at one point in commentary, I'm pretty sure turning to Alan, I said, Sal looks like he's actually getting stronger as the game's going on here. It was going into the last 10 minutes. He was going to keep going and keep going and keep going until he finally got a goal at the end of the night as well. He wasn't very happy. He must have said 4 or 5 times before he left to go on the bus that he was gutted he never got man of the match. But if he keeps putting performances like he did last night, he won't be waiting too long. He was brilliant out in the wings. He was.
Do you think, obviously we've brought him in as a forward, but we saw what he can offer out wide last night. Do you think that's something that we could employ again with similar results in the future?
That definitely. The performance was that good last night. I don't see any reason why not. He caused trouble up the channel all night. Even when he was taking the ball wide, getting the ball in, winning corners, and he was getting inside his man, getting in through and goal, getting chances. So I don't see any reason why not he couldn't again, even this Saturday. Start of the way. I don't think a left back would be very too happy seeing the team sheet and seeing us up against Sal anyway. I wouldn't fancy taking him on the foot race and running the line. Jesus.
What about yourself, George? Echo that Sal looked impressive in a quote unquote out of position.
Yeah, I think he's done his chances no harm of playing out there. I think obviously he's not playing as a traditional winger or anything like that. He's quite far forward and pace is a threat. He's quite a character as well. He was saying to me on Saturday after we filmed the goal celebration gifts. He was saying, "When are these getting released? Will they have them today?" And I was like, "No, you won't have them today. You have to save your goal for Tuesday night." So he did, and did the celebration as well. But yeah, nice lad, and I think he's still got a lot to show. I think there's a lot more to come from him.
He was quite keen to get back in and record a second gift as well. So he must plan on scoring quite a few goals this year, which is nice to hear.
Yeah,
I think that's quite a salient point here. What George and Gary are saying. I mean, he was up against Danny Church, who is quite a regular in and out of the Alloa team. And I mean, Gary's saying he gave him a hard time. That's a good sign, because they did play 1 or 2 kids, but Danny Church is quite a regular for them, and that's a good sign that he's given Church a hard time.
Yeah, you work hard, George, but I think turning around the goal gifts within an hour of kickoff would have been quite the effort.
I've just got too much else on.
We mentioned, Gary, in terms of the players coming in, obviously Finn Ekrapont, Evan Dunn back from suspension as well, Sal, Quigg, McManus. Obviously, when a result like that happens and a performance like that as well, gives the manager a selection headache, a good selection headache, but a selection headache for this weekend.
Like you said, it's a good one though, isn't it? And he's got options again, because he's probably looked at that team last night and thinking, well, how do I change this ahead of Saturday when the performance is that good? But I suppose it'll depend when going into the game what kind of game plan he wants to employ. I would thoroughly recommend the one last night. Certainly worth the treat. But like you said, it gives him options, so it does.
I think as well, having Sal on one side, James Dolan on the other, obviously allows Mark Russell to be that bit more central. For me, I think he's much more effective in a central role. He's got a greater opportunity to get on the ball, influence things, make things happen. Again, is that something that you would go along with, Brian?
Absolutely, Cameron. I agree 100%. I think we have been missing a wee bit of width on the right-hand side. I know Sal didn't really play as a winger, but he gave that width last night. And I think McManus has now been playing on that right-hand side, and that's maybe not his favourite position. So maybe Tiff has found the answer to that problem on the right-hand side. And as you say, bring Russell in, and it gets it more solid. You're more solid in the middle of the park, and he's maybe found the key to his problems.
I thought that was a big difference last night as well. Sorry, Brian. He brought both Markey and Danny McManus as well further infield, and it was Danny McManus's best performance for us. Curtin Mile last night. He looked so much more comfortable. thought he was really, really good. Alan Jenkins gave him his man of the match. Was obviously a big compliment as well. But I'm seeing the best of Marky. His ball for James's goal. It's probably only Marky that can play that pass. And we're only get that pass from Marky when he's playing in the middle of the park. So I think that made a big difference last night. Them two and Aaron Craig in the middle of the park.
You go along with that, George? That Mark Russell is probably more effective in games when he's playing more central.
I think so. Yeah, I think we've seen the best of Mark when he is playing through the middle. I'd say all of our midfielders did well last night. I thought, Quigg, McManus, and Russell all playing the right passes, picking up loose balls in the middle of the park, and that was key to getting the win as well.
Now, I had a look online, and you could imagine what the comments are going to be, but Alloa fans saying that they weren't at full strength, that wasn't their first team, etc. But it's fair to say as we've touched on, we made 5 changes. No Darren Lang, no Robbie Foster, no Docherty, no Jordan Stewart. We had players missing, you've still got to go and get the win, Gary.
You can only beat what's in front of you. That's it. And to be fair, Alloa, they touched on it as well. They had some good players out in the park. It wasn't as if it was a C-string youth team they had out. Luke Donnelly, Connor Salmon up front, Mackay and Graham at the back. There was a lot of Danny Church left back. There's a lot of good players. So we had to be on top form to get a result last night. And I think we thoroughly deserved the win, so we did. I think even Alloa fans, even if they were pretty moaning a bit the fact they have a full strength team out, they were certainly admitting that Stranraer were worth a win.
I think, Brian, after the game on Saturday, Tiff had described the upcoming game as an easy game. What do you think he meant by that? Obviously, playing a League One team, so in theory, it should be a more difficult game, if anything.
I think it takes the pressure off the players because they're not supposed to win. You're playing League One, it's easier. And I think we showed it against Queen of the South. League One opposition, you're not supposed to win. And we won it. Ross County, the same at Stair Park. We were relaxed. And I don't know whether the boys will be able to tell me, but Evan Dunn seemed to be coming up the park a lot more last night. I just seen the highlights, but Dunn seemed to be running up the right-hand side a wee bit more, which he didn't do against Forfar, which I found quite strange. I know he was sent off, but earlier in the second half. But I found it quite, even in the first half, he had a really nervous 45 minutes. But maybe the boys can tell us what he was like last night.
It was good. Him and Finn both were getting up the channel. I don't know maybe if it was a case maybe the way we set up in Forfar. But I think we set up kind of similar to the League Cup games where we're maybe happy to kind of sit back, compact, narrow, soak up the pressure, maybe try and hit in the break. Whereas last night felt a lot more front-footed. We were the team not trying to make things happen. We were pressing another one and making them make mistakes in their own half and capitalising from there. Maybe just the way we kind of would set up. But yeah, he was good again last night. He looks like once he gets a few more games under his belt, I think he'll be a really consistently good player for us.
Is it down to kind of expectation levels, George, when we're saying about the games against the teams from the higher divisions being quote unquote easier? Is it kind of you don't expect to get something because they are in a league above, whereas you've got that kind of hope, that expectation when it's a fellow League Two team?
I think that's probably it, and it's a lack of pressure, not just internally but from the stands. I think there's less, there's less pressure from supporters as well in terms of getting the result, and then you can play in a different way as well. You can play with that expectation. You can hit the opposition on the counter, and it opens up a lot more opportunities in that sense. So yeah, I think it's a different kind of game, and one that we seem to be doing well at playing so far this season. When you look at results like the one we had against Queen of the South and Ross County, so quite enjoying the cup competition so far this season. Long may it last.
I appreciate it's only one game in, but what did you make of what I think you called, Gary, the Scottish Champions League?
That was being very generous, wasn't it? I mean, it is what it is. I don't, if I'm being honest, I don't like the fact that we're asking part-time players, part-time teams to make these journeys on a Tuesday. Four Tuesdays out of the 6 games we're asking to do it, and then you've then got 10. That's 9 full-time championship teams, but 10 championship teams to come into the next round automatically. So straight away, double the money for them and the teams that probably need it the least. So I don't really like that aspect of it. I mean, the format, I mean, 1 game in, so it's a bit hard to tell, but certainly in terms of European football, I enjoyed watching it from afar for the Champions League, Europa League and the Conference League. So you might find that when we get to match days 4, 5 and 6, it may be a bit more interesting and exciting, but I mean, I think you look at the crowds last night amongst all teams. I mean, there's a distinct lack of interest in the B teams, so there is. I mean, our crowd was down a bit last night, but I think we still had one of the best home crowds in the competition. So it just kind of shows you that, I mean, in terms of supporters, there's a lack of interest. Again, that might pick up a little bit when it gets to the latter stages and there's maybe something a bit more on the line. But I mean, time will tell.
And obviously, that's on a night where it was lovely weather as well. It's not a case of folk were looking out going, oh, I'm not going out in that. As you say, this tinkering, whether it's the B teams, whether it's the new format, I don't know if there's such the appetite as perhaps there once was for the Challenge Cup.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And there's been that much sort of like chopping and changing it the last maybe 10 years and things like that. They'll try to make it interesting again. But maybe this might be what makes it work. But again, I think it's the forcing in the B teams that it kind of puts people off a little bit.
I think certainly when you're listening to supporters, that's what you're hearing. Is that the B teams is what takes away from it for your lower league fan, and obviously that's how the prize money comes to be. So it's one of these situations where you're in a kind of no-win. But what I will say is, I really enjoyed the game last night, and as a supporter, what a great way to spend a Tuesday night in the baking sun, watching quite an entertaining game of football that we wouldn't have seen if it wasn't for the kind of expanded format. So, open-minded, but I think if you listen to people, it's not popular.
Can I ask you two committee guys? Last night was £15. Well, is it Rangers B we play next? Is it Rangers B next in the competition? Is that who we play next?
I think so, Brian. Yeah.
Will that be £10?
It's probably something we'll need to go away and speak about. So it is. I've seen a few other teams changing their prices. Clyde was one I noticed that they originally penciled it in for the usual price, I think, and then supporters were kind of at them saying, "Well, we're not going to come out and pay that to watch a B team," and they put it down to 10. So I mean, it's a conversation we can have. I did see Hamilton tonight, or I think is it Hamilton Motherwell B? They're charging £20.
Oh dear.
Which is jeez, I know. We'll certainly not be charging £20. I can guarantee that. The only other aspect of it I'll say is we obviously have probably costs in that a Clyde won't have in terms of the team bus and things like that. So it might be one of them, or we look at it and weigh up. We're not going to have hospitality and things like that really either. It'll be available, but not many people are going to take up the offer on a Tuesday night. It's one of them. We'll probably need to weigh up options and take it around the table and probably decide the best way to go forward with
it. We heard from him earlier, George. But what have you made of Corey O'Donnell in the first 160 odd minutes in a Stranraer shirt?
I like him, and I like the signing when I saw it come up. Had to do my research when the name got dropped into the group chat, as is the way with these things. You say, oh, we're signing this guy. We need to prep something for him. I'd heard of him already from the Terrace podcast. I think Craig Telford mentioned him a couple of times and talked about how skillful he was and how he'd try things in training. He obviously scored that worldie against, I think it was Montrose last season. From what I gather, he doesn't do that every week, but that's to be expected for a striker playing at League Two level. But I think from what we've seen, he's holding up the ball well. He's physical, big and strong, and I think the type of player that he is what we've been needing. I think we've got other forwards who offer something different. Obviously, Sal's pace and Ryan's physicality and brute force at times, and Corey is a different type of forward. And I think as he kind of gels with the team, we'll see more of what he can do.
You kind of touched on it, Brian, but probably fair to say that Saturday in particular, very difficult to judge him on the lack of service that he got.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, the wee things he did do, you know, in the second half especially, I thought was quite good. You know, he got away for his man. Like I said, he had a big chance to score on 78. He got away for his man. I think lack of fitness, maybe, you know, because he's not been playing regularly with Stenhousemuir. Lack of sharpness, maybe. So I can see good things from him in League Two. I mean, if he can score 9 goals in League One, surely he can bring some goals to the table in League Two.
Then obviously last night, Gary, but for a coat of paint, he would have opened his account for Stranraer. Unfortunately, just hits the wrong side of the post, I guess.
Yeah, I think once he gets one, he's going to keep on getting a good few for us. And then his overall play, I thought was good last night. I thought he done well to hold the ball up and get James Dolan, get Sadu Turai, get Danny McManus, Mark Russell all into the game and gets up the park. I think last night he was just missing a goal, to be honest. And he's another one I actually thought as the game went on, he grew into it. And he looked stronger. He made a good run in the second half, and actually thought he's getting a second wind here. So he is. So I think again, he's actually had more games for Stranraer than he has had training sessions. So I think once Chris gets to work him a bit more, gets to know the boys a bit more as well, I think he's going to be a really good signing for us.
Now, before we fully look to this weekend, I'll start with you, Gary, since we were just with you there. Can you give me one memory from our last meeting with East Kilbride?
It was quite uneventful. I don't remember much.
Whirlies Roundabout.
It's all a bit of a blur, to be quite honest. I remember. You remember the goals, don't you? Really, that's the main things you remember. I remember just I think it was more the relief for the third. It was obviously ecstatic when the second went in, when Craigie scores the second, and then you've still got a wee bit of time to go, and anything's possible. But then when Angel Martin scores the third goal, it's just the sheer sense of relief. You know that's it, it's done. It's such a weird feeling because obviously people afterwards are saying you're celebrating staying in the league sort of thing, which is absolutely true. But I think people behind the scenes and supporters of Stranraer know that if a result went the other way, the football club that we know, and we love, that it completely changes. Everything about it has to change to try and survive in the Lowland League. So it was just a massive day for the football club and for the town as well. And obviously, again, that's one thing that I like to look back on. We put out a cry on social media. It was the whole aim for 1870 thing. It was sort of asking to the town, if you want to keep a professional football club in the town of Stranraer, we need your support. Come out and back us. And the 1870 was just sort of a number we looked at. Obviously, the year we're formed, and we'll put that out there. And if we can try and hit that, it would be amazing. And people are obviously calling and saying, you're probably not going to get that. You'll maybe not get that big a crowd. And then it was about 2,000. So it just kind of shown the town is behind the club. It was that was nice in itself. And obviously, the result's the most important thing as well. I think we've kicked on. I know on the park it was an 8th place finish in that last year, but off the park, maybe leaps and bounds, we've kicked on, and we're such a good position now compared to what a couple of years ago.
Work my way along the line here, Brian. What about yourself? If you're picking out kind of something from that sunny day in May last year?
I think Gary touched on it. We're going to lose our position as an SPFL club. It was all important. And it's just no Stranraer fans. It's neutrals I speak to all the time. They will never ever forget that day. The people that were there and watched it in the highlights, which is, I think it's up to 23,000, George, am I right? But,
Yeah.
It was just one of those days, live in my memory. And no disrespect to Albion Rovers, but I'm on their Twitter page and on their Facebook page, and the fans put up, we're going to Gala today, we're going to Bo'ness. And I says, really? That was Stranraer fans. As I say, no disrespect to Albion Rovers fans, but it isn't the same ring to it as going to Stirling or going to Dumbarton, But it'll live in the memory for a long time.
Just before I come to yourself, George, I think a couple of it's the strange things that kind of stand out for me that it must have been after the third goal and James Dolan running, hobbling, sprinting somewhere between the three across the park to celebrate, shirts off, etc. We spoke to Scott Robertson about it. I think he said that he was nearly being sick on the sidelines. I think kind of daft wee things like that. That obviously there's the goals themselves. Obviously are kind of painted into your memory, but those kind of strange wee moments that made up the day. What about yourself, George?
Yeah, just emotion. I would say. I think I don't mind saying literally every single goal that we scored in the playoff, I had tears in my eyes because it just meant so much to all of us, and going through that season together, we were telling this story about potentially the what could be the end of the football club as we know it, and every week we were slipping further towards that kind of plug hole, and that was the kind of great release at the end, and obviously all the scenes on the pitch, everything that came after, that was the springboard that we needed to put the club on the right footing. And I think what's kind of lost in it all is the kind of springboard was actually before that. There was a lot of work going in behind the scenes to put the club right. Before that, it's just it was coming too late. So yeah, it's just an amazing day. Up there with the best memories in my life. Without getting too crazy about it, but I mean, what can you say? It was special.
I'll ask yourself and Gary this, George. Do you feel there's a greater connection between Stranraer the town and Stranraer Football Club now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the proof's in the pudding crowd-wise. Last year, we had an average crowd over 500, which is brilliant, and that was a couple of years ago. That was an aim. It was like if we could manage to get the average of 500 crowd at a home game, that's sort of like a starting point. That's what we need. So it is, and well, they are now. And back then, I know it sounds daft. It seems so far away. Like it seems so far away. It was just that I don't think there wasn't that much ill feeling towards the club in the town. I think it was so disconnected. I think from the football club, and it's nobody's fault because the work and effort that goes into running Stranraer Football Club is incredible, and it's 95% volunteers. I think it just got to a point where everyone's that laser focused and try to run the club and do that. That maybe a little bit of focus was sort of left off, like linking in with the town. Or not even that, just I think some of the stuff we were doing in the time wasn't emphasised and highlighted enough. So you jump on and you start highlighting these things and people look at them going, oh, Stranraer FC do this and they do that and that's really good. And and then they start seeing who's in the committee, or he's in the committee, I ken him, and they start to relate to it a bit more and they look at it and they realise that really, like I'm saying, it's 95% volunteers who are all local people who are just trying to run professional football club for the town. I think when people started seeing and realising that, they were like, no, this is actually something that I can go and get behind. And, the difference from being a supporter, I mean, I'm saying even 10 years ago, I've been in the committee my fourth year, I think, top of my head, the difference from when I first joined to now, it's total night and day. And I think when the best parts about it for me is I feel like we're only getting started. I think we've just kind of scraped the surface and all the stuff we can do and further do in the town. So hopefully we continue to grow it as well.
I guess without that hard work, George, that it would have been very easy for it to go the other way. The club finishes bottom of the SPFL, folk in the town go, well, I'm not going to watch that, they're rotten. But as you say, that hard work to kind of bring the two things, the football club and the town together, is obviously paying dividends.
Yeah, we won't think about what would have happened if it had gone the other way. But I mean, you're right. It's you look at it now, and I think obviously that day in May and since then the support has been incredible, and something that probably doesn't get touched upon enough is just what a great fan base we have, and like you say, the kind of crowds are up. Everyone's looking forward to their Saturdays, and that's how it should be. And the club needs to be that kind of positive force in the community. It needs to be that kind of central thing where we're one of several kind of town squares, if you like, where you can see a community group at half time. You can meet up with your friends. It's a fun and a good place to be. And for a while, there's always going to be difficult Saturdays, but for a while it wasn't certainly what it could have been. So yeah, hopefully, as Gary says, it's there's a lot of work to do, but we're headed in the right direction.
I guess that ties in, Brian, to Saturday, that the fact that people were leaving Stair Park and as I said, voicing their opinions online, disappointed, shows the level of care that people have for the club.
Oh, I'm quite sure that they're all, they've got the club, the interest of the club in their heart. There's no doubt about that. We're all disappointed. I think I've heard people saying it spoils a Saturday night, if we get beat. And I was driving home on Saturday night, and I was thinking about the game, all the way up the road, and I just so disappointed. But by the time I got home, I wasn't too bad. But then you got onto Facebook, and then you get depressed again. So no, but everybody's. I was saying earlier on, Facebook was over the top, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. But sometimes I don't agree with their opinions, and if it wasn't for the missus, I'd been Facebook on a Saturday night replying to them. But she keeps me off the keyboard. I can assure you. But no, everybody's has got the club's best interest in their heart. And they all want to see the club doing well, especially them that turn up at Stair Park on a Saturday afternoon.
East Kilbride, heavily tipped for the league. 12 players have come in, 4 wins from 7 for them so far, including twice defeating Elgin, once in the league. What can we expect from them, George?
I think we've probably all seen from the Premier Sports Cup what they're capable of. They've beaten Wraith Rovers just the other night. They beat Queen of the South. So yeah, obviously a formidable outfit on their day, packed with talent, packed with quality. But I think there's always that kind of question mark around maybe defensive frailty. I'd like to think that we go at them the same way that we went at Alloa the other night and see what we can get. Because I think fight fire with fire seemed to work for us in the playoffs last year, and I think that's probably the way to go. Guys like John Robertson who can create something out of nothing, we'll have to watch. Cammy Elliott, we obviously know all about. So yeah, they've got a strong team, but that doesn't mean that they're unbeatable. And obviously we've seen that they've lost their opening league game as well. So yeah, I think we can go in positive but cautious.
Who do you see as the danger men, Brian?
Well, what I can see, Cammy, is it won't be nothing each draw. That's one thing. If George was saying, will we go toe to toe with them? I don't know. They had a luxury last night of resting their front three. Robertson, Elliott, and Flanagan never played, but of course they brought in good players for the bench. So and they've got Leach and Bald in the middle of the park, who should really have been nowhere near League Two. Probably the same with the front three guys. Very, very good players. But I totally agree with George. Defensively, I don't think they're the best. I honestly don't. I think when Spartans played them at the K Park, the three really well. One goal with Carmy Russell was the right. I think it was Carmy. No, it's Stow, wasn't it? Stow who scored a right good goal, but the other two were poor goals to lose. And as I said, George is spot on. I don't think they're too great defensive wise, and I think they call it transition nowadays, but I call it counter attack. I think we've got to get a counter attack spot on, and I think we can cause some problems. But you've got to keep the midfield, right at them, because if Leach and Baldy start to dictate you, you're in trouble. But you've really got to keep them under wraps, because if they start to control the game, you really are in trouble. Now, as George says, Robertson's a great wee player. We all know that, and Flanagan on the left hand side, but Robertson's the main man for them. They usually play Robertson. But Spartans have already beaten them there 3-1, and we've got to go in there with confidence for last night.
Obviously, as we've touched on, Gary, it's a season and a bit down the line. Players have come and gone. Management's come and gone for Stranraer. But do you think anyone within EK, maybe revenge is too strong a word, but do you think might be a little bit that extra keen for a win, I guess?
It's possible, given the nature of what obviously the playoff was. Obviously, Mick Kindy and Sion are all still there, and there's a good few of the squad that are still there as well. So it might be in the back of their mind thinking, I'd like to get a bit of extra motivation. I'd like to get 1-0 on Stranraer just over because of what happened. But we're not in there changing them, so we're not going to know. But I'd imagine as well, if you asked them, they would deny it. But it's one of them things where you never really know the truth. And if it was me, my personality, I would have it back in my head thinking, I'd like to get 1-0 on Stranraer because of what happened, even if it was 15 months ago.
One last thing before we wrap up. Given your infamous, I guess would be the term, infamous speech, Brian, in the playoff game last year, are you going to be allowed in East Kilbride? Will you be welcome to East Kilbride?
Well, I'll put one of these hats. These guys are wearing at the Oasis concerts. I should be fine. An old rocker. But we've seen it all before, Carmy, as you know. We've seen it through the recent years. Queen's Park, Cove, Kelty, teams with plenty of money in this league. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, they've got a lot of good players. But it's 11v11, as I say, and I think if Tiff gets his tactics spot on, it could be a closer game of what people think.
I think there was a bigger gulf in quality probably in the playoff between the two teams in terms of, I think the team that they had over them 2 legs was a better team than the team we had, more so than the teams this year. I think they're a lot closer than what. Hopefully, this proves right on Saturday. I don't look like an idiot, but I think the teams are quite close in quality. I think once we get going, we'll be absolutely fine. I think on our day we can give East Kilbride more than a run for the money.
So you've heard it from us. Now it's just a case of counting down the days until that trip to K Park. And fingers crossed next week we'll be in that highs, just like this week after the victory last night against Alloa.